Hello, hockey fans. The Minnesota Hockey Connection Show is on the air. We're at PACT-TV Studios in Duluth, and it's November 12th. No, December 12th. Wow, I'm getting my months wrong. December 12th. We're less than 2 weeks from Christmas, and now the hockey season is in full goal with high school in their fourth week now, and out the Wild they had a big win the other night, and juniors are playing half their season already. And boy, hockey, hockey, hockey. It's hardly a day goes by that I'm not at a rink. But to get started, I'm going to start with high school. And I do a weekly rankings on the Minnesota Hockey Connection site and my own Facebook and Twitter site, Jerry Borough. So Minnesota Hockey Connection, you can like it on Facebook or Twitter, and follow me on Twitter, and Jerry Borough, Boroughh, for the Facebook personal site, and that's Jerry with a J. So, so we're in third week already, and I've seen almost all the AA teams in the top 15. I'm missing a couple right now, but let me get started with Class AA, which is, I get to know a lot of these teams and a lot of the players on these teams over the season. So Minnetonka, the winner of last year's Class AA championship, they're number one again, and they're 5-0, but the big reason is everyone came back from this team. A lot of times when a team wins a championship, the seniors the following year usually take off because they already won a championship, but all these kids want to come back and repeat. So that's a good thing. The bad thing is they got 9 D1 players on this team, and the other teams, boy, it's going to be hard to upset this team this year, but there's a few teams that can do it. So to get started on my top 10 on Class AA is Minnetonka, 5-0. And like I said, there's 9 D1 players on this team. And then number 2, I like Wayzata. They had all their kids played in the elite league. They're elite players, and they're a very team-oriented team. And they got a very disciplined coach, and they can roll 3 lines out there, and you wouldn't know the difference of any line. So I just like this Wayzata team over the last few years, and they're always, when it gets toward the end of the season to the playoffs, they're ready to go. So Wayzata is my number 2 team. Number 3, at 5-0-1, is Rogers. Rogers is a very junior-oriented team. They got 5 juniors I know will probably play D1. Plus they got a sophomore transfer that's leading the team in scoring. Baumgartner's last name. So Rogers, 5-0-1, is my third place team right now. Number 4, Edina. Edina's been up there with, as long as Kurt Giles is coaching over there at Edina, one of the better coaches in the state, Edina's going to be up there. They got a very nice team again. They got a couple seniors that I really like, and they'll be up for Mr. Hockey probably. There's a Nevers, another Nevers boy, and there's a Kroll. 2 big forwards that can score a lot. Number 5, Chanhassen. Chanhassen is 2-3 only, but they got their whole team back from last year, and they gave Minnetonka last year all they can handle. During the regular season last year, they split their 2 games, and then in the playoffs, finals in the sections, Chanhassen took Tonka to double overtime when they finally lost. And so far this season, they played Tonka 1 game, and that went into overtime, and they lost that game. But Chanhassen has 5 very nice players that are all D1s. And the nice thing about it, Chanhassen had all these juniors from last year that went out and played juniors to start this season, and they all came back. All the pro scouts told me they're not coming back. They're not coming back, but they all came back. So there's some very good. That's 5 teams on the west side of town are in the top 5. So you know where hockey is heading toward in high school hockey. The big schools on the west side of town in the Twin Cities. Number 6, we got Hill Murray. Hill Murray is 1-1-1. They just got started, but they've been in every game. And you know Hill Murray, by the end of the year, they got a strong schedule. They got a great coach, Bill Lechner, and they had a very young team last year that got to state. So I think they can do some damage this year by the end of the year. So Hill Murray's my number 6 at 1-1-1. Number 7 is Maple Grove. Maple Grove has been up in the top 10 for a long time now. Even though some years they lose some players to juniors that don't come back their senior year, they decide to go play juniors. And this year, they really don't have a very strong elite player, but they have a lot of players that can skate, they can shoot the puck, and it's a very offensive kind of system they run there. Because I saw them a couple times, and they're shooting about 40 shots on goal against good teams. So I would, without any elite players, it's going to be a team. And so I'm looking forward to seeing Maple Grove develop this year. And if they can develop, they'll give Rogers, who are in their section, a strong competition. Number 8, it's kind of a surprise team because they lost a lot of players. They lost one to the development team. They lost one that transferred over to Edina, their best forward, and they lost one to the juniors. So I thought they'd be a little down, but so far they're proving me wrong. They're 4-0, but we'll see this week when they got to play the number 2 team, Wayzata. So number 8, Benil, 4-0. Number 9, Rosemont, 5-1. I didn't think much of putting Rosemont in the top 10, but then I saw them in the beginning of the year, in the second game of the year when they played Chanhassen, and they beat them. And boy, it's a nice little team, and I hope they can stick around and stay in the top 10 because there's not much down in the south end of the Twin Cities. So Rosemont is my number 9 team, 5-1 record. And number 10, White Bear Lake, 4-1. I saw White Bear Lake the opening game of the season, and they have a player on their team, Nolan Road, who's going to St. Cloud State, that I like a lot. He's going to be a big candidate for Mr. Hockey, and I'm glad he came back to play his senior year. He was out there in USHL juniors, and I like to see these kids play their senior year, be with their friends, and this kid came back, so I'm kind of excited with White Bear Lake this year because they have a new coach after many years with Sager as their coach. So 4-1, White Bear Lake. Teams to watch, I would throw Centennial in there, Cretin in there, Cretin-Durham Hall, Eastview, Eden Prairie, Holy Angels, Holy Family, Lakeville South, Roseau, Shakopee. Young team, but they're vastly improved. And then St. Thomas Academy, where former Duluth East coach Mike Randolph is the head coach over there, and they have a very young team. And I've seen them about 3 or 4 times in scrimmages before the season, and I saw them in one game already. And very young team. but they got the back end is very solid on this team, and I know Mike Randolph's teams for over 30 years, and he always has his teams ready when it comes to the playoffs. So with their strong schedule and everything, like he does every year on his teams, I think they'll be very competitive in their section, and they have a good chance of going to state. I think their biggest competition is going to be Cretin, Eastview, and Rosemont. So we'll see. So that's the Class AA. So Class A. Class A is a little tougher for me because I don't see as many teams. I see Hermantown a lot, and if War Road comes down, I'll see them every time. But here we go. We got St. Cloud Cathedral, 5-0-1 is number one. They got most of their team back from last year. Hermantown, 2-0-1. Hermantown, I just saw play Centennial and beat them 5-0. And Hermantown's a very strong on the back end. They got a great goalie. He might be the Frank Brinzik Award for the top senior goalie this year in Kellaway. But they beat a good Centennial team 5-0 the other day. And this week they got Duluth Marshall and Montemita. So we'll see. Hermantown, their back end's very good, but their front end is a little short this year. And plus they lost their number one offensive player probably is Dallas BU. He decided the last day before practice to stay out in juniors and not come back. And that might hurt Hermantown a little bit, but it might help them with some other kid can take over. And they have a nice system up there in Hermantown, and they always have a lot of young kids that want to play the game. So we'll see. Hermantown number 2, 2-0-1. Royal Road's back at it. Their top player, Pilgrim, is back for them, a big forward. He was one of the dominating players in the state tournament last year. And so War Road's 4-1-1 right now. And then a team that we haven't seen much in the top 10 over the years, but they got a very strong team this year with almost everyone back from last year, is Northfield. So 5-1 Northfield, good for them, and I hope they keep it going. And then the team I thought, and I had picked to win the Class A, is East Grand Forks. They're 4-3. They've lost 3 games there, which I didn't expect, but hey, they got a lot of good players, and they got their goalie back. So I think they'll get it together, and I think it's between them and War Road, maybe Thief River Falls to come down in that Section 8 in Class A. Then number 6, the last year's state tournament, Montemita is 2-4, but they're losing to some top AA teams who they played already. So don't put Montemita out of there. They got one of the great coaches in Class A, and they play a strong schedule. And so Montemita I got as 6, but with a record of 2-4 right now. And then Northern Lakes, number 7, they're 4-0. And then we got Orono, number 8, 4-2. And surprising thing about Orono, there's a former Class A team that beat them last Saturday, I think it was 3-1, and that was Duluth Denfield. So that was a good win for Duluth Denfield. And I'm kind of surprised how good Denfield is playing, but they're in Class AA right now. And then number 9, a team that just dropped down to Class A. They've been in AA their whole history. So Cloquet, Esco, Carlton, 2-1. They just beat my favorite to win the Class A, East Grand Forks, last Saturday. So that's another team. And when they're playing good, they're a very nice team. So number 10, Thief River Falls. They got a great coach up there, and I don't know about the numbers, but I think they can compete with most of these teams in Class A. And then teams to watch, Alexandria, Breck, Little Falls, Laverne, Minneapolis, and Monticello. In Class A, usually the top 4 or 5 teams are about the only ones I picked to even win the state tournament. But let's go. I'm going to wait until after the first of the year and see if I see any other teams in the beyond the top 6 that can win this year's tournament. And then over in Class AA, there's a lot more than the top 6 that could win the state tournament. But right now, the top 5 teams are above all the rest of the teams in the state. So I really like Minnetonka, Wayzata, Rogers, Edina, and Chanhassen, those 5 teams. And I'm sure the private schools will be picking it up and with their good schedules, and we'll see. It's so much fun. And another thing's going on now is that we're getting toward the end of the year, and there's a lot of holiday tournaments between Christmas week and New Year's. And all these teams are going to start playing each other. Like Tonka, Wayzata, Rogers will be all playing each other on that week, and Chanhassen. So it's a lot of good hockey. And Hill Murray will be over there. And I think Edina's down with Moorhead, St. Thomas Academy, some of the better teams left over in the top 10, and teams to watch will be down in Prior Lake for their tournament. So there's a lot of good tournaments. So if you just love high school hockey, you got to get out and watch some of these best teams, because after the first of the year, I think we'll know who's who real quick after Christmas. Well, there you go for high school hockey. So every year I get to vote for Mr. Hockey, top senior skater. And this year there's so many candidates that it's amazing that I can only vote for 7 players. And I got on my list right now 25, and I got to cut back in the next month before the vote goes in. And boy, it's amazing. Edina has 2 nice players I like, Nevers and Kroll. Chanhassen has Eulenkamp. They has Chris. They have Lee on their team that's capable of being Mr. Hockey. Minnetonka has 7 players that I would put in that list. And so it'll come down to probably I'm going to have a couple Tonka kids and probably 1 Chanhassen kid, 1 Edina kid. Then up north, we got a Ernest up in Rosal, it's a dandy. And he's going to North Dakota. And we got Pilgrim, who's going to North Dakota from War Road. So those 2 are very nice. I mean, there's so many candidates. And then Wayzata has, I think, 5 players that I really like. So I'll be watching a lot of those teams anytime possible in the next month. And so I'll give you a rundown after the first of the year on who I think are the top 10 skaters in the state, and my 2 top goalies, I think, should be running for Mr. Hockey and the Frank Brinzik Award. So we'll get back to that after the first of the year, after I see some of these players a little more. Well, the Minnesota Wild won a big game the other night, 3-0. But the funny thing about it, and it's all over social media, that Sunday, the Minnesota Vikings football team won 3-0. And people are shaking their head. They're not saying nice things about the Vikings again. So, but as a hockey fan, I'm just laughing. But Gustafson was in the net, and he played another strong game. I think that's his second shutout this year. But the thing that they've been struggling this year, So I'm going to go over some of the better teams in the standings in the National Hockey League. Um, Over in the East, again, the Boston Bruins, which had the best record last year in National Hockey League history, they're leading the Atlantic Division with 39 points. The Florida Panthers are 34. I think the Florida Panthers are playing the Wild tonight, which is Tuesday, December 12th. And then number 3 in the Atlantic is Toronto Maple Leafs with 32 points. Detroit Red Wings, a lot better team, 32 points. They got Patrick Kane on that team now, so that kid can still play. So that's the 4 teams in Atlantic. Over in the Metropolitan, we got the New York Rangers at 37, Philadelphia Flyers 32 points, New York Islanders 31. Islanders still have a whole bunch of Minnesota kids on that team, but they're getting up there. Anders Lee, Brock Nelson. I mean, they're getting up there in age. And the Washington Capitals, the same thing. Their best players are all getting up there in age, but they have 29 points. Then over in the Pacific, we got the Vegas Golden Knights, the winner last year's Stanley Cup, at 41 points. Vancouver Canucks, 37 points. They have a Minnesota kid that played hockey at Burnsville, and then he went up to North Dakota, Brock Besser. This kid is right up there in top, second place in goal scoring in the National Hockey League this year. Brock Besser, 18 goals. That's amazing. I wonder if he's up for contract again this year. Maybe that's why he's playing so good. But 18 goals so far. Keeps on going at this pace. He'll probably have about 50 goals. So amazing. And then Los Angeles Kings, they're playing solid. And then Calgary Flames. Over in the Central, we got the Colorado Avalanche with McKinnon and a few other guys. McCarr. I love that team, the way they move the puck. They have 34 points. Dallas Stars. They got a Minnesota kid in net, Ottinger, Jake. So 33 points. And then they got Winnipeg Jets, 32 points. And a surprise, Arizona Coyotes, 28 points. But our Minnesota Wild are in 7th at 22 points. So they got to really start picking it up. They've only played almost one third of the season right now, but they got to pick it up if they want to get to the playoffs. And then, let's see. Talk a little bit about Connor Bedard. He's got 21 points with 11 goals so far, and he's doing really good offensively. But the thing is, he's a minus 15. Minus 15 and being on the ice there. So that's not good. He's going to have to work on his 200-foot game to be a real star. But he's scoring some points, and the kid will get there. He's young. He's only 18 years old, and he was the number 1 draft pick by the Chicago Blackhawks. Then the second pick this past season is Adam Patilli. He played at Michigan. He has 16 points. So the two top picks are playing real good. And the Wild, Marco Rossi, he's got 15 points. So he came up this year full time now. Last year he played a very few games and he just wasn't ready and strong enough. And they put him down in the minor league club down in Iowa and Des Moines. And I guess he learned a lot. And he's playing a lot better. And he's been playing on the first line. So I hope he keeps it up because the Wild need some scoring in that, and he's been doing that. And then a couple of Gophers are playing. A few Gophers are playing real good. Logan Cooley, he's out in Arizona. He's got 14 points as a rookie. And then Matthew Nyes up in Toronto. He's got same 14 points. So 2 Minnesota Gophers. And then everyone's loving Brock Faber, the Wild. He played his youth hockey in Maple Grove, and then he played for the Gophers too. So there's some really nice Gophers out there in the National Hockey League in their rookie year and doing the job. So that's good to see for Minnesota players. So the Wild have, let's see, Calgary on Thursday at home, and then they got Vancouver Saturday afternoon. I think it's a 1 o'clock game. So it must be a national TV game. So I'll probably be down for those 2 games, get an idea. With the new coach at the Wild, I don't know if it makes that much difference, but I guess when a team does not going good, they get rid of the coach every time. It's, shouldn't be that way, but because these players get paid big money, but I guess you just can't get rid of a player when you're paying them that much money. College hockey, the UMD Bulldogs, they got 5 points this weekend. They're out in Miami of Ohio. So hopefully they can get back into it. They're in the low end of the NCHC conference. And St. Cloud State is number 1 there in the conference games, 7-0-1. So we hope they can get going. But next week I'm going to have a guest. I'm going to try to have a guest with mental health. Big part of the game now. And plus might do a second show where one of the guests, he does this, it's a Bible and high school hockey book. It has all the high school teams, the players to watch, top 100 seniors, top 50 juniors. Plus, I'll probably have a guy that he's in charge of having these big high school tournaments at Christmas week, between Christmas and New Year's. And we'll talk to him over the phone and what kind of schedules he has for these. He has a lot of the big teams in the state playing in his tournament. So I'll get back with you on that with him. So thanks a lot to PACT-TV producers, Jim, Vicky, Liz, and I'll be at the rink, and I hope to see you at the rink.